It's no laughing matter. The latest from our daily newsletter at podnews.net. Comedy is the number one podcast genre in the US, according to Edison Podcast Metrics. The data is for the 12 months ending June 30. News is number 2. The top 5 genres were unchanged. Anchor was still the number one podcast host in August, according to new data from John Spurlock's Livewire, but the company's share of new episodes continues to fall from a high in April. Meanwhile, Buzzsprout increased its share significantly from 7.9% to 9%, the highest share for them for 6 months. There were 1.6 million new podcast episodes published in August, up 5.4% from July. Brian Baumgartner talks in Marketing Brew about how he approaches podcast host-read advertising. We'll link to that from our show notes and our newsletter at podnews.net. Also, we're linking to DigiDay, which looks into paid subscriptions for podcasting. The article interviews Qcode, Tenderfoot, NPR and Acast Plus. Eddie, Headliner's audio editor, has been updated to improve the detection and capture of ums, ahs and other filler words. Kids podcast company WonkyBot has signed with talent agency CAA. The company's making a movie of Tara Tremendous. And podcast publisher Lemonada Media has partnered with Penguin Random House to launch a book club. And in People News, Elizabeth Nonamaker has been hired as executive producer for podcasting at WQXR, the classical radio station owned by NYPR, which also owns WNYC. And Kyle Fulton has joined the Globe and Mail as podcast producer. Well, almost. At the time of recording this, he's getting ready for his first day. And in podcast news, in French, Hastings is a history podcast about Normandy and England, which for 20 years were both ruled by William the Conqueror after the Battle of Hastings in 1066. It was the last successful invasion of England, I should point out. Hooray! The show reaches more than 40,000 listeners. The host, Serge van den Broek, is a recent new subscriber to Podnews. Reviews are in for the newsagents, and The Week links to some of them. One such miserable review reads, "I would have switched off after 11 minutes had I not been contractually obliged to listen. Ouch, we quite liked it." Unsurprisingly, The Teacher's Pet is to be made into a movie. Hedley Thomas has signed a deal with Blumhouse, Jason Blum's US production company. The show has been downloaded 60 million times, and Chris Dawson was found guilty earlier this week of the murder of his wife, an investigation spurred on by the podcast. And The Forecast, the Channel 4 News podcast, returns from Friday, September the 9th. Hosted by Kieran Moodley and Minnie Stevenson, an 8-part series will start with a look into the Republican Party in the US. The show will also be available this season in video. And that's the latest from our newsletter. To read all the stories and subscribe, we're at podnews.net.